Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. I am so incredibly excited to guide you through this material today because, honestly, we are looking at a story that feels like it's pulled straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it's actually happening right now on real-world factory floors. We're unpacking a really fascinating piece from Assembly magazine that highlights a very modern take on a classic theme: man versus machine. Today, we're exploring how advanced robotics and artificial intelligence are literally causing a ruckus in the Motor City. It's a story about some absolutely breathtaking technological leaps, but it's equally about the deep, real-world human friction that those leaps create. It's a delicate balance, and understanding this dynamic is absolutely crucial for seeing where the future of work is heading. So let's get right into it.
All right, let's dive into this by looking at a tale of two very different cities, separated by just about 240 miles. Over in Chicago, they recently hosted the Automate Show. It's this massive, optimistic celebration of industrial robots, AI, and cutting-edge automation. The whole vibe is focused on forward momentum and celebrating human ingenuity. But then, you look just 240 miles east to Detroit, and General Motors is facing serious, tangible backlash for actually deploying these exact same technologies on their real-world factory floor. The contrast here is just incredibly sharp. You've got one city popping champagne over the theoretical potential of this tech, while the other city is grappling with the harsh reality and the labor tension that it immediately creates the second it's put into practice.
So, let's move right into Section 1, Clash in the Motor City.
The geographic epicenter of this whole conflict is General Motors' Factory Zero in Detroit. To really grasp what's at stake here, it helps to understand what Factory Zero actually is. This facility is dedicated entirely to assembling electric pickup trucks and sport utility vehicles. This isn't just some legacy plant churning out older models, It is the absolute tip of the spear for GM's future EV production. It's modern, it's forward-looking. And because it represents the future of the company's entire product line, it naturally serves as the perfect testing ground for modern manufacturing technology. The stakes here literally could not be higher for the automaker.
The specific technology driving this massive shift is something called a cobot, which is short for collaborative robot. These are designed to physically interact with humans in a shared workspace, and they're being used right now to attach various components to these new electric vehicles on the line. And the irony here is so thick, you really just have to pause and think about it. These machines are explicitly designed to collaborate with human workers. They are meant to be partners on the assembly line, augmenting what humans do. Yet these very tools of collaboration are currently sitting at the absolute center of a fierce labor clash. To give you a sense of scale, we aren't just talking about a small pilot program tucked away in a back room somewhere. General Motors just installed more than 50 of these state-of-the-art FANUC collaborative robots directly into the workflow at Factory Zero. That is a massive, structural change to the way the factory operates. Picture it. You have 50 highly advanced robots dropped right onto the floor, working side by side with humans, attaching components, and fundamentally altering the rhythm, the speed, and the physical makeup of that entire assembly line.
But here is where things get really tense. Because while those 50-plus robots were moving into the facility, the human workforce saw a massive contraction. The Assembly magazine piece points out that GM recently laid off more than 1,000 workers at this exact same complex. When you put those two numbers side by side, over 50 new collaborative robots coming in and over 1,000 human jobs gone, well, you immediately understand why the tension in Detroit is so incredibly high right now. It is a visual and economic shift that you simply cannot ignore if you're a worker standing on that floor.
Which brings us to Section 2, inside GM's Factory Zero.
You see, this shift isn't just about physical robots moving heavy metal parts around. It's also about the invisible digital brain operating behind the scenes. Engineers at Factory Zero are currently piloting a proprietary system called WeldBrain. This is an AI-powered system designed specifically to monitor weld quality in the body shop. We hear so much today about AI, writing emails, summarizing text, or making funny images, but this is artificial intelligence deployed on the heavy manufacturing floor, making rapid, structural safety decisions about the actual vehicles that you and I will eventually drive on the highway.
Let me put this into perspective for you to show just how staggering this leap in efficiency is. Under traditional manual inspection, human workers were able to check the quality of 4 parts per shift. 4! But with the WeldBrain system, the factory is now checking every single weld on every single body in real time. The jump in quality control volume isn't just some 10 or 20% bump. It is an astronomical, paradigm-shifting leap. It completely redefines what is even possible for quality assurance during a single shift. Human capability just simply cannot match that scale of instantaneous data processing.
When you understand that massive leap in capability, you can totally understand General Motors' perspective. For management, deploying these smart tools is just an absolute necessity for continuous improvement. GM states that these systems help them spot issues incredibly early, which obviously protects overall product quality. It empowers the plant to make quick, confident calls instead of relying on slower, randomized manual checks. Ultimately, GM argues this builds a broader, more robust culture of safety and ownership across every single shift. Because think about it, if a machine can monitor every single weld in real time without ever getting tired, the final electric vehicle delivered to the customer should, in theory, be vastly more reliable.
But a factory is nothing without its workers, right? So let's look at Section 3. The UAW pushes back.
The United Auto Workers, or UAW, are pushing back, and they are pushing back hard. The source material specifically notes that these technological upgrades are really raising the bristles of the union. They're expressing growing, deep-seated concerns over two fundamental pillars of a worker's life: safety and job security on the assembly line. When a digital system can check every weld instantly, or when a cobot can attach components without ever taking a coffee break or collecting a pension, well, the human workers left on the line are understandably feeling a profound sense of anxiety. They're worried about their physical safety working right alongside these new machines, and for sure, they're worried about the longevity of their careers.
To truly grasp the gravity of the union's perspective, we just need to listen to the words of UAW President Shawn Fain from his recent State of the Union speech in Detroit. He absolutely did not mince words regarding this tech rollout. He said, and I quote, "It's a profound threat and a challenge to our way of life, to our economy, and to our political system." That quote is just essential. It shows us that for the workers, this isn't just a minor grievance about a new tool on a workbench. It is viewed as a holistic, existential threat. It's a challenge to the very foundation of the manufacturing middle class and the economic stability that those jobs provide.
In that exact same speech, Fain actually broke down this technological revolution into a few specific highlighted threats. He explicitly called out artificial intelligence, the looming specter of humanoid robotics, and the broader concept of mass automation. And what is so striking and frankly fascinating here is that the exact same technologies being enthusiastically celebrated at the Automate show in Chicago are the exact items sitting squarely on the UAW's list of profound threats in Detroit. We are looking at the exact same technology, but it is being viewed through two entirely different, totally valid lenses depending on where you stand in the economy.
Now, if we zoom out, we hit Section 4, the global automation race. Because this isn't just a Detroit story. Automakers globally are aggressively accelerating their investments in robotics and automation, and they're doing it because of a set of undeniable macroeconomic driving forces. To even survive, these companies must remain competitive in a cutthroat global market. They have to control spiraling manufacturing costs. They're also utilizing automation to address ergonomics, meaning machines can take over the heavy, repetitive lifting that really degrades human joints over decades of work. And finally, they are leaning heavily on automation to tackle pervasive global labor shortages. These are massive, industry-wide pressures forcing the hand of manufacturing management all across the globe.
And guys, this trend is only accelerating. It is absolutely not slowing down. This brings us to the next frontier. Companies aren't stopping at collaborative robotic arms or AI weld checkers. The source explicitly notes that many companies are now investigating and heavily investing in humanoid robots. Yeah, humanoid. That means robots designed with a human-like form factor, with legs and arms, capable of stepping into spaces and assuming roles previously thought only possible for a human being. The technology is advancing at a breathtaking pace, frankly, moving much faster than the traditional workforce can easily adapt to.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly important question to ponder as we wrap up today. As humanoids and highly advanced AI enter the assembly line in greater and greater numbers, how on earth will global manufacturing balance this incredible, undeniable drive for efficiency with the preservation of human livelihoods? It is the classic man versus machine dilemma, completely updated for the 21st century. The efficiency and safety gains of the technology are very real, but as we've seen looking at the layoffs at Factory Zero, the human impact is just as real. How this balance is ultimately struck, well, that's going to define the future of manufacturing for decades to come. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I highly encourage you to keep your eyes on this space, because this technological revolution on the factory floor is truly just getting started.